debate-winning headlines, your media police post. In this segment, we summarize some of the headlines that you might have missed this morning. But we also take a look at the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. Today is the 9th of October 2019, and I am 2J.
I am 2M.
And I am GK, and in case you missed the headlines, here they are. In the Star, is Uhuru appeasing both Ruto and Raila? In the Daily Nation, when the police become gangsters.
Yeah.
And in the Standard, Raila, 4 MPs wanted by DCI in car tax probe.
Oh.
Why are we giggling?
He was mimicking you, but it's fine.
What am I to do? What happened in Today in History, or is there one?
There's no Today in History.
There's none?
Not yet.
Okay, so in the headlines we have, is Uhuru appeasing both Ruto and Raila?
Yes.
Is he?
I think so, and I don't blame him.
Yeah.
You see, the Star has alluded that the president and Musalia Mudavadi have been talking, and they've been talking closely, probably even encouraging him to be opposition leader.
Yeah.
And you know, guys, there's something in chess they call the Marshall swindle. Now, there were 2 players in 1912, a guy called Frank Marshall and a guy called Stefan Levetsky. Now, Levetsky was in a winning position, and Frank Marshall, he sacrificed his queen. In chess, we have something called a queen.
Yes.
He sacrificed his queen, and because he knew Levitsky likes to eat pieces of ovio, Levitsky did exactly what Marshall
wanted him to do.
And the checkmate just came by him moving the horse. And it was game shot.
All right.
It was, what do they call it?
End game.
Checkmate.
Checkmate, yeah.
Checkmate. And I think that is what Uhuru is doing. This man called William Ruto is being primed to make a move because he likes eating small chess pieces before he knows it.
And you know what? If Ruto decides to accept appeasement as a strategy, it's the shortcut to happiness.
Absolutely.
If he's trying to get to 2022, he has to be smarter. He needs to read between the lines.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And as for Uhuru, there's a quote or something I read. It says, an appeaser is one who feeds a crocodile, hoping it will eat him last. And maybe these guys, the Railas and the Mudavadis, are happy to be duped.
Yeah, that's true.
So
absolutely.
However, I do like the headline.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Quite catchy.
Yes.
Makes you want to read it. In the Daily Nation, when the police become gangsters.
Yes.
So the context here is that the National Police Service Commission had a statement yesterday.
Yes.
And they told us that you shouldn't be even worrying about criminals. There's a policeman on the run. But however, the Daily Nation tells us
that has gone rogue.
He's gone rogue. But then now in the story, it goes on to tell us how many of these cases they've been. So the Daily Nation says about 600 cases of police engaging in these
crime.
Criminal
activity
is about 600 since January.
Whoa.
Wow.
Right? But IPOA says that it has successfully investigated 67 cases of policemen charged with murder.
Okay, absolutely.
So it's on the rise.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people, even our Twitter poll, sort of liked this headline because everyone can attribute some point in time in which they've dealt with
They felt victimized by the police.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
But we would also want to know, they think I like hitting Kinoti.
Okay.
But I want to congratulate him.
Oh, well done.
I like to congratulate him
Change
because
of tune.
more than ever before, I have never seen DCI going to arrest police officers before, as much as they've done with Kinoti. And I think the man is going after a cleanup. Policemen showing with these boards, what they call mug shots, all the time because they've committed crime. They've committed crime probably like a week ago and everything. I think the system is working. And and instead of having the nation saying that police have become gangsters, I think they should actually congratulate DCI and the National Police Service for actually pointing out that there are bad elements within the police.
But I also like the fact that they're calling them gangsters because that's what they've become.
All right, finally.
In the Standard, Raila, 4 MPs wanted by DCI in car tax probe.
Whoa.
So what's happened is there are apparently 444 cars that authorities say have not been paid for. Or sometimes they have duplicate license plates. So you'll find a Pro Box with one license plate, then you find a Range Rover with the exact same one. Or you find a GK license plate on one car and then the same one on another.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they've said that they're trying to target those people, some of which happen to be these 4 MPs and Raila and some other high-profile politicians.
Yes.
And I think it's quite interesting because yesterday we saw in the paper that NTSA had put out a notice
Yes.
With a list of all the number plates,
of those license plates, giving people 14 days to come forward and give proof of purchase
Listen,
and
guys,
ownership.
DM told us last week, KRA moves from the alcohol sector, then they went to universities being probed. Now we are in the car industry sector.
What's next?
So watch out.
Maybe they're going for weaves.
No, in fact, no, let me tell you, they came for weaves already.
Slay queens need to
over.
watch out. Please.
So at the end of the article, what the Standard actually says is they quoted KRA. KRA said that they're not attacking individuals or businesses, that everyone is fair game. So I think they're just trying to quell people's feelings that they're attacking certain
and listen,
groups
and even Raila has fallen into this dragnet.
So I guess the point is if Raila stole a car.
Today.
I don't know.
I mean,
we're all bad then. Is that what we're saying?
I mean, if he stole a car, he might as well steal an election.
Listen, it's still...
Hey.
It is a car probe. It is a probe at this point.
Nobody, yes, it is a probe. That is very true.
Nobody has been convicted of anything. Anyway, we do have a 3-part criteria. I like how we've gone all the way. But we used to break down the headlines. We ask ourselves whether it is topical or speculative, whether it is repetitive or groundbreaking, and whether it is thoughtful or just plain lazy.
The thing about the Standard one is that there's 444 cars. Only a handful are actually attributed to Raila, MPs, or politicians. So I think it's a bit misleading. So of course, you would use politicians to sell a paper.
Oh, absolutely.
But we toss.
Absolutely.
Then thereafter, I think there's a good headline.
You know what? I'd buy this.
Which one?
This, the Star. It's not just the headline, but the man himself.
Kipchoge.
Oh, yes, fantastic.
I would buy this.
But now, you see, you didn't even listen to my criteria. We were not judging on pictures. We were
Exactly,
judging
on the headline.
So I can go with the Star.
Yeah, I agree.
Uhuru appeasing both Ruto and Raila.
Can I please toss the Nation?
Toss the Nation. There you have it. We have the Star giving us our...
Yes.
Yeah, sorry.
We have the Star giving us our headline. All right. On to the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country, where we also have a 3-part criteria that we used to break them down. We ask ourselves, is it humorous or is it dry? Is it satirical or is it pessimistic? And is it effective or just plain lazy?
Ndula of the Daily Nation.
Ndula has the drawing of the Archbishop and of an Archbishop, and next to him is a ballot box. And the ballot box slot is a cross.
Or is it an offering box?
It's an offering box, but you see, these are votes down here, and the ballot box has Visa. It's actually an offertory box.
Yeah, it's an offertory box.
Yes, and has M-Pesa. And the caption there is one size fits all.
Although on the side of the box it says
politics.
In the shadows is politics, right?
I think it's clever.
Yeah. So I think what the context here is that the Catholic Church, they said they're not taking cash donations anymore. However, they'll continue to take checks, M-Pesa, and card.
And remember, we had asked what their strategy to fight corruption is. Here is their transparency. So I think
won't take cash. We'll use other means of collection.
And also, we will know who has given us what. I assume is the.
But is that noble? Is it hypocritical? I don't know. I'm not so sure.
But now you're being given money. You see, is it an obligation? Because you're
According
telling the person
Bible,
who's giving you this how to pay you.
Oh, I don't know. Who knows? Well, I guess they're trying to find a way to stop corruption. Otherwise, I think it's a great cartoon.
I
went.
Are we tossing it?
No, we're putting it in the parking bay.
Okay.
Absolutely.
The Standard.
The Standard has the Grim Reaper, and it's been captioned "Killer Cops." And behind the Grim Reaper, he's actually toting an AK-47. And behind him is a graveyard with a caption, extrajudicial killings.
Yeah.
I think this Kaso guy is, I think he's in class 7.
He does draw a bit like one. Yeah,
although
I think this cartoon...
Although it is,
Yeah, it's a good cartoon. I think it's again in reference to the police becoming gangsters and the extrajudicial killings.
Yeah,
however, I think for pessimism, for laziness, we toss.
I mean...
Wait, Kaso.
Kaso.
Finally.
Yeah, finally, it's caricature of my favorite athlete. That is Kipchoge. And next to him, our fellow beloved Kenya Navy. And they are diving into the sea to find this sunk car.
Yeah.
And the caption there is immense challenge. And for Kipchoge is the Ineos challenge.
Yeah.
That was happening in Vienna, the divers in Mombasa, Kenya.
Yeah, and he says Godspeed. And in each of the pictures, they're all pointing to...
Yes, the time.
The time. Because they both have a race against time. They're trying to find the bodies.
Absolutely.
And he's trying to break a record.
Yeah, trying to break the record.
Absolutely. Most profound.
Most profound.
Most profound.
I quite like it. I'm really taking a liking to Ozone these days.
And you see,
I have understood his style.
The betrayal on this table right now.
and you see, for this entire week, people have been hitting on the Kenyan Navy, and I think it's time we give them the accolades that they deserve. This man called Gituma, I saw him yesterday. Man's very methodical. He says, we're going to move from this part to this part, and we're going to draw in. Meaning he has already said that beyond a certain distance, the car might not exist. So they're closing in into, you can see method.
Yeah. No, for me, it was just a bit of the juxtaposition between a celebrated athlete next to something that is both embarrassing and sad for the country to deal with. However, I think he's trying to inspire them when he says Godspeed.
Absolutely.
Yes. And both challenges that we're dealing with.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah,
so when we look at that and the...
I go with Ozone.
I go with Ozone.
Yay.
Where's Miss K?
Ozone who's
Support me.
And what is our final thought?
And now our final thought, inspired by the late founding father of South Sudan, Mr. John Garang. Dr. John Garang, actually. Yeah. You want to give a summary?
Yeah, so this week, as you know, we've been looking at, in the run-up to Moi Day tomorrow, we've been looking at some of the African leaders who had a relationship with him, or some countries that because of their actions, we had to make some policy decisions. And I think this specific one, we're going to see a lot of how Kenya was very instrumental in the birth of a new nation.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So Dr. Colonel John Garang was a Sudanese rebel and leader and the founder of SPLA, the Sudan People's Liberation Army, which fought a 22-year civil war against the northern-dominated Islamist Sudanese government.
Absolutely.
So he was made vice president of Sudan upon the signing of the comprehensive peace agreement in 2005, shortly, unfortunately, before his death. So he was born in 1945 to a poor family, and by 17 years old, in 1962, Garang had taken part in the first Sudanese civil war. So from a young age, you can see this guy, he's about his people.
And he's known war.
So he went on to get a degree in economics from the US, then went to the University of Dar es Salaam, where he joined the University Students African Revolutionary Front. He then went and got his PhD in agricultural economics, I believe. So following this, he returns to Sudan, and from 1972 to 83, he serves in the army. And all of this is taking place after the Addis Agreement, which was signed, ending the first civil war. So he was then promoted to the position of colonel, and later became an instructor at a military academy. And in that same year, he was actually sent to South Sudan with the aim of consoling soldiers who had refused to be transferred from the south to the north. So by this time in the 1980s, just a bit of context, the Sudanese government was becoming increasingly Islamist. So this included the introduction of Sharia law, black slavery by northern Arabs, and Arabic being made the official language of instruction. So what happened is that Garang is sent to the south to bring these soldiers up, and instead he swaps sides and he becomes a rebel. And this is when he forms SPLM and SPLA. So at this point, they decide to revolt against the government and the military rule. And this actually inspires the other people around them, both North and Southern Sudanese people. And this is what then starts the Second Sudanese Civil War that lasted for 20 years. So Garang was campaigning for the creation of a region named New Sudan that would be based on the unity of the Sudanese people. And his aim was to dethrone al-Bashir and establish a government that was represented by the minorities. And so by 2002, you see these peace talks begin between Garang and al-Bashir, which culminated in the comprehensive peace agreement that I mentioned that was actually signed in Nairobi, Kenya. So as part of this agreement, Garang was told that he would become vice president, and this happened 6 months later. So 6 months later, he becomes vice president. 3 weeks later, on July 30th, 2005, while he was returning from a meeting with Museveni in Uganda, in Museveni's helicopter, the aircraft crashed and it killed Garang.
Everybody.
Everybody on board, including Garang. So though some claim that it was a cause of bad weather, so later Salva Kiir said that, al-Bashir also said that, and a lot of Westerners also said that, many say that it was actually due to foul play. So if you just ask the question, who done it, who is responsible for his death, two possibilities are discussed. It could have been northern extremists. So those who felt that the agreement was a threat to the northern hegemony, right? That it was Sudan, exactly. And then the other option was the southern extremists, those who felt that Garang had betrayed the possibility of an independent South Sudan.
That he wouldn't have done enough.
Exactly.
That he was okay with just getting
the combination
versus
having a separate
independent South Sudan.
Exactly. But then again, I do think we think it's curious.
It's
the helicopter he was in, you know, and the country he had come from. But those are a lot of possibilities of what could have happened. We do not know.
You're saying a lot without saying it.
Yeah.
You know, I want to make a bold statement that if it was not for Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi, today we would not have a country called South Sudan. And let me say, the reason why I said this is this. You see, there was a phone call made to a man called Lazaro Sumboiwo by Daniel Arap Moi, General Lazaro Sumboiwo. Yeah. And this is how the dialogue goes, according to a man called Abraham McLaughlin, as narrated by Lazaro Sumboiwo. McLaughlin. McLaughlin. What?
All right, yeah.
Cannot say Jogona. And the president says, I have an offer for you, and I order you not to refuse it. And remember, this is the man who had actually gone to Kabarak to save Moi in 1982 during the coup. And Sumboiwo says, I'm listening. And Moi says, I want you to find peace in South Sudan. 4 years later, this was in October 2001, 4 years later in Nyayo Stadium, 2005, that is when they signed this comprehensive peace agreement. This man took in so much from both Garang and what's his name? Omar al-Bashir. He almost quit. In fact, there is a statement that al-Bashir made to Sumboiwo, and Sumboiwo had written a draft peace deal, and he gave it to al-Bashir, and al-Bashir, he reads it, he summers it, and then he says, this guy, listen to what he says, you can take that draft, soak it, and drink it. And this is what he told Sumboiwo. Just telling you how much...
what he endured,
what he endured. But if it was not for Sumboiwo, because Sumboiwo is the man who delivered those things to Mwai Kibaki, the process that Daniel Toroitich had started, if it was not for Moi starting this peace process until 2005, South Sudan would not be existing today.
That's very interesting, yes. And I think they call them the Naivasha Protocol and the Machakos Protocol. And those are the things that were to be enacted.
Absolutely.
So Dr. Garang had fought hard for democratic transformation of a new Sudan. So at this point it was not South.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And in one speech he gave, Dr. Garang pointed out that the problem of Sudan, of the Sudan, is not peace.
Yes.
Because even a graveyard is peaceful. And he said that the problem, the fundamental problem of Sudan was that they had not found this identity. So in a book by Mahmoud Mamdani called Savior and Survivors, Garang proposed that the fundamental problem is that Sudan has been looking for its soul and its true identity. So allow me to read this. He says, various regimes have failed to provide a basis for the Sudan as a state. That is, there has been no conscious evolution of that common Sudanese identity and destiny to which we all pay undivided allegiance, irrespective of our backgrounds, tribes, race, and religion and belief, right? And so he had this philosophy called Sudanism, right? And it involved both the North Sudanese people and the Southerners, not renouncing, but sort of putting their Arabness and their Africanness to their side and adopting the Sudanese culture first and foremost, and then being those things. And at this point, like you rightly pointed out, you had a lot of Islamic influence. So you have a lot of people who were Christian, who were having to abide by harsh Sharia laws, which wasn't working.
Absolutely.
Anyway, we skip to present day, right? And Sudan and South Sudan still know no peace
today,
right? They signed a peace deal in 2018, or the revitalized peace deal. And we see that the rival parties were to create a unified army. So a lot of what's been happening in Sudan is that even when they're leading, everyone has their army. Machar has a huge army, and so does Salva Kiir. And so they still haven't done this. So in April 2019, they went to meet the Pope, both the president and the leader of the opposition, Riek Machar. And what does the Pope do? He kisses their feet. Now, if you are a good Christian and you go to church, you know what a humble act kissing one's feet is. and that act of humility, but also the Pope setting his pride aside and saying, listen, I will do this, but you people need to do this for your people. And I thought that was so moving. So as the November 12th deadline looms, and in which case they were supposed to now have implemented their transition government, I mean, we still have a peace deal that sort of rests on Salva Kiir. It's peace according to him, right? So we hope that they will choose to do the right thing for the Sudanese people.
But I think what this shows us is what an influence Kenya had on the creation of the newest African state. If you look at the South Sudanese flag, it's very much inspired by our own Kenyan flag.
Exactly.
And even the relationship they had with Moi, they call him a brother of the Sudanese people.
Exactly.
So I think both what Moi did and what Kenya has done for this new nation is very powerful.
And guys, people are still doing business in South Sudan. South Africa just signed a deal for $1 billion for oil refinery and the oil pipelines and all that stuff. Uganda is still investing heavily in Juba. So I think there's hope for this young nation, but there's also a lot of choice architects
who want to keep them down.
Even our former US ambassador to Kenya was called Ranenberger. Ranenberger has a think tank somewhere in America. And he's doing business with the world economy. You know, they don't like being seen to be doing businesses because they're very righteous. Anyway.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. So we had a double win today for the Star. We had a winning headline from the Star, a winning title from the Star. I'll leave you with this. Dr. John Garang once said, like a ram, for anything successful to happen, people must go back in order to go forward. So even if they are back now, they will be up one day. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Find us on TV. We are on Pang Free to Air, Go TV, Star Times. Enjoy your evening. Have a happy Moi Day.
Absolutely.
And look out for our Moi Day special.
Absolutely.
On 5th Estate.
Yes.